My apologies. Go ahead, Joan.
As you know, we have very small staff, and we couldn't run the center without our board, our volunteers, our friends group. They're all key to what we need to accomplish, and if we're thinking about expanding or adding programs or taking programs away, we couldn't do it, without assistance and recommendations from all of you. So I am open to anything. Obviously, the Memory Cafe is on my mind because I think it'll open new doors, and that's a big goal, is to get that started, hopefully with or without the grant. I mean, with the grant, it'll be wonderful. Without the grant, we can do a small amount of it. We can add some art therapy or pet therapy or some educational information on a regular basis. So I'm looking forward to that.
Can I ask you, this is Sylvia, can I ask you a question about the Memory Cafe?
Certainly.
Could you explain what it is all about? What it gives, what it offers, what the service is?
So there's a wonderful write-up that Caitlin did, and I'll make sure that you all get it, about the explanation of a memory cafe. So a memory cafe has many functions, but one of them is to get people with memory issues and their supporting spouse, family member, caretaker to come with them to the center and to spend an hour or two in a project, networking, supporting each other, family support, and usually it involves, the first half hour is usually a meet and greet. The second hour is probably or 45 minutes is some program, whether it be music or art or educational speaker, and the last half hour is a refreshment. So in some places they have lunches, which we do not have, but you put in, because it's a cafe, you'll have a refreshment, a coffee, a tea, a drink, a pastry, something. So it's three things. So it's a sharing group, but it's a support group, and they're all over the country. And just happens to be that in this area, in Hampshire County, there are very few. But it's the rage in many, many other states and many other places. In fact, it's international. I was on a Zoom with somebody from Scotland, with a group from Scotland. There were 30 of us. So we're looking at maybe 8 to 10 people in the surrounding areas, not only Southampton, but surrounding areas. Westhampton, we've been trying to do a project with them because Highland Valley really wants us to reach out to surrounding communities and do some collaboration. So we're hoping that there'll be a need. We don't even know. I mean, we assume, or we researched about, the statistics of how many people over 60 may have memory issues and how many, I've forgotten what it was. I know Janet did some research on it too. And we're going to open it up. We're going to do some surveying. We're going to market it, and we're going to see who shows up. But one way or the other, we're going to try some kind of a cafe, and if it's meant to be, we'll get that underway, and hopefully we have it set for once a month, but it could be once a week.
So, Joan, I know that the grant isn't awarded until September timeframe, and the monies aren't available until October because it's a federal funds. But it sounds like we need to have a pretty firm outline in place before October 1st, right? So I'm just wondering if there's anybody on the board that would be interested in working on a kind of a subcommittee to work with Joan on kind of outlining. I guess if we haven't shared the grant application, Joan, can you do that?
Yes.
Our response, if that hasn't happened, and just so people can get a better sense. And again, the summary that Kate presented, if you have a copy of that to send out to everybody as well.
I will.
Could you do that in sometime tomorrow?
Yes.
to the board.
So can I ask a question?
I'd like to be on the committee.
Okay, okay.
We
Well,
will
Very
too.
appropriate, Nancy. Thank you.
Nancy and Sylvia? Okay,
Yeah.
then Jonathan's question. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, so do we have a clear idea yet as to how frequently the cafe would meet and what the activities would be?
I think, Jonathan, once we send you the documentation that we submitted for the grant, as Joan said, right now we're targeting once a month for the first year. It's a 2-year grant. So the first year is once a month. And then we'll probably, depending on, I think the success, we don't want to bite off too much as we start developing this program. We'll probably increase that. Does that answer your question? And as far as, and Joan included some different ideas for the entertainment. And Joan, I'll let you speak to that.
And a coordinator would be hired?
Yes.
Retained for that?
Yes, so it's about
Or a
$4,000.
facilitator? Yeah.
Yes. A trained facilitator in dealing with people with memory issues. Joan, you want to add to
I
that?
just wanted to say we may not hire somebody initially because it's not in the budget yet. We need to wait and see. So I think initially I will be doing some of it. Nancy's that's her work. So I think if we work closely with Nancy just to get it off the ground, and then maybe we can find somebody that would be appropriate. But if it's only once a week, I don't know. Of course, there's probably setup time too. I mean, there's preparation time too.
Well, we're not going to start it until we get the grant, right? So there will be monies if we need to hire someone, correct?
Correct.
So it's not like we're starting it without the money initially. We need to, I mean,
We need some planning. And then
That's what
figure
the
it out.
subgroup will do. right?
yes, I think help Joan. And once you get see what the grant actually states, our response.
Just for some people that maybe don't know, it was probably 2 years ago now, an OT that I work with came to Southampton and did a kind of training on living with someone living with dementia, and it was fairly well attended for Southampton. I was surprised. There were more people that we didn't know there. So I think in like the cracks of the town, there are people that are struggling to help their folks that are living with dementia. It's really difficult to live with somebody. So the more support we can do, the better. So this is just thrilling. It's really a real great thing for the town. I can't wait.
And I wanted to add, at one time, Jim Palermo and I worked on an outreach, a person for outreach, and there could be a combination. Maybe if we hire somebody for outreach that could also do the memory cafe or vice versa.
That's a great idea.
I just think it's a very specific skill set when it comes to dementia training and dementia care. So I just think we have to be careful that we're matching skill sets.
Do we want to use dementia prominently? Because it seems to me there are a lot of elderly people with memory issues, but have not been diagnosed with dementia, but nonetheless could need some help. So,
yeah, I think they use memory impairment. I mean,
good. Yeah, I mean, my older sister, for example, is 87, and she lives near Philadelphia, but she has not been diagnosed with dementia, but she does have memory issues. And
So we'll have to take a look at the grant for specifics, Jim.
Because does it need to be diagnosed is what I'm trying to get at.
probably not. And we may be open to other people. I mean, we don't know how many people we'll get. We'd like to get 8 to 10 people and their guests. So that puts us at 16 to 20 people. So maybe we'll only get 4. Maybe we'll get other folks that are interested in this topic. I'm not sure how it's going to develop.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we do have a pretty strong outline that if we can get that to them, to our group. Joan, I didn't realize it hadn't gone out yet, so.
I think that would help a lot because, I mean, I had a mother who suffered many years from Alzheimer's, and a lot of the people that worked with her, I'm not so sure really understood it, and a lot of caring friends didn't quite understand it, although they were sympathetic. And I do feel I would just kind of emphasize what Rini said, that it's important to have the right skill set. If people working on this or coordinating it, because it really does take a special understanding, I think. One obviously doesn't need to be overqualified, overeducated to do it, but I think the person needs to know what they're doing and experience, and that will also help them in choosing the activities that people will participate in at the cafe. I just find it, and again, it's just from having had the experience myself with a family member, I do think it's not something one can easily go into. It has to be really thought out very, very carefully.
Yes.
And maybe those documents will help to me in just fleshing it out in my mind as to what's being considered.
I think having a coordinator and a facilitator are two different things, though. I mean, we can coordinate times and activities and things, but having the actual facilitator, somebody who's there, who's, like you said, empathetic, understanding, educated, in the field. Again, I've, lived with people with Alzheimer's as well, my mother-in-law. So, I mean, we all take to the table life experiences, and I have a social work background, so I have had some exposure to it. I've been to some of the memory cafes, so I'm not saying that I'm the top person on it, but I think I can coordinate at least timeframes and things like that, and maybe setting up a facilitator or somebody to do the programming that other places are doing. Hamden has a very active memory cafe, and we can share programs with them. Huntington put in for the similar grant, so maybe we can share programs with them as well.
Okay. I have the document. I just found it on my phone, so I'll send that the Google Doc that Kate shared with us before our presentation in June. So we'll take a look at that. Okay. But yeah, I feel like a lot of loose ends to pull together, to help Joan pull together before October 1st. So that would be great. Nancy and Sylvia, thank you for volunteering to participate.
Thank you.
On the subcommittee. And then Joan, I don't know if you want to send out a couple dates right now. I don't know if Nancy, what you're kind of have a tough schedule there because you have that working thing.
Do we want to meet before the next meeting? You mean next COA board meeting? Is that what you're saying?
I think
so. I think that should be it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can work something out. I don't know, the last week in August, first week in September, maybe we can, well, actually our meeting is on the 1st, is that right? So it have to be before that. Because we'll have planning meetings. All right, we will work that out. We are planning a couple functions before that, but I'll work with Sylvia and Nancy and see what works for them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a critical thing to make sure we're ready to run, right, Joan?
Yeah.
When we get there. So we'll get that one document out, and then if you could get a copy of the grant that was sent out, that would be great. Okay. And again, I know some of the tasks, this is kind of a task-oriented list, getting the annual report done, I know, I remember seeing a message, Joan, about, and this is just for my information, that end of year or beginning of year reviews for your staff were due sometime in July or something. Do you remember seeing that?
I've kind of forgotten about it.
Okay.
That goes to who? Ed or the select board or?
I think it was sent by the PPPB, sent some documents for each department head.
So I think I've already checked in with Flo. Probably Darlene wasn't in the office, so I will, I'll look for those. And PPB, you believe?
I think it came from their committee, somebody on their committee, I believe. I mean, it was back in either late June, early July.
I did something with Flo. She had to sign it. Could I tell you where those documents are this minute? I don't.
I don't need to know where they are this
But
minute.
I'll find.
Okay. And
Just for information and no discussion at this point, but I did contact the personnel board and told them I really didn't think that Southampton was up to doing employee evaluations. I think it's opening a real bad can of worms, but that's their choice. I just offered my opinion on it, and I just thought I'd pass it along.
Okay. I don't know. Rini, I don't know if you have any comments on that from select board's
Well,
perspective.
all I can say is it's in the personnel policies that department heads do an annual evaluation of all their employees.
Yeah, that's what the personnel board said too, but some other time maybe we can discuss it because I don't want to take your time here.
What do you mean they're not up to it?
Well, for one thing, number one, we really don't have professional managers in a lot of situations. Who's going to do the appraisals? My experience is nobody is happy with an appraisal unless it's totally fine. If somebody gets an excellent appraisal, are they going to look next to their neighbor and say, well, what's in it for me? Do I get a bonus? Do I get a promotion? Do I get an extra step increase?
Excuse me, our medical director's calling. I have to answer this. Sorry.
Yeah, those are the kinds of issues that I don't think we're equipped to handle.
Okay,
Because
but
we don't have an HR department.
right now we're focusing on the COA. We can't address all the other department heads and.
Well, I know, but I thought
Okay.
it was relevant.
Yep, no, I understand that, but I mean, when we talk about at this meeting, I think we just need to focus on,
Right.
I appreciate your comment, your overall comment. I'm not taking
Yeah.
anything.
No,
away
I
from
think the biggest thing is thank you, good job, or do you need some help?
that. Yeah,
It's management, not appraisals.
I
Well,
hear.
I agree that we just got 2% raises. I got a very healthy raise. So I think I understand where it's coming from, that people want to make sure that they're getting their raises are they're getting good people for what their buck is getting. But anyway, I don't have problem doing them. I just had forgotten about them,
Yeah.
Okay, and my only goal was to, as a
Remind,
reminder, and I don't think I have no idea what the forms look like. It's just, maybe it is, thank you, you did a nice job, because we don't have a system in place that will, if you get rated a 10 and somebody else gets rated a 5, you're going to get more than 2% next year. So, I mean, it's good to sit down with Darlene and sit down with Flo and Tim and Ken and just listen to them and speak to them and talk to them and,
I did Flo's. It's either a 5-star or a 1 to 10.
I have no idea what their rating is, but I mean, I think it's good to be able to give them feedback and to, listen to what they have to say and what they'd like to see improve, And I don't think I agree with Jim. We don't have a formal process. No objectives were set at the beginning of last year to be evaluated against. So anyway, but anyway, Joan, if you could work on some, and maybe some of the folks here would have some ideas, because again, this is a very task-oriented list versus, strategic goals for the year. One of the things that isn't here is to work with, for those people on the board that are not aware, we did receive, we were listed in a gentleman's will to have a donation of whatever is not accounted for or spoken for in his will of all the remaining of his liquid assets. We have no idea how much that is right now. And I guess maybe Joan, think about from a strategic perspective, how you would like to work with us in the select board and Ed to kind of implement whatever it is his request or recommendations are, his finances are. So
until we know the amount, I mean, we're talking, I know we talked to, his idea maybe was to get a new senior center, but that's millions of dollars. I'm not sure what it is in Southampton, but in other communities, it's millions of dollars. So I'm not sure if that's what we're talking about. Doesn't mean we could get a design phase like we did for pickleball, spend whatever. I think that's even pretty expensive, $100,000 to get a design that may or may not happen. Do we buy land? I mean, I'd be glad to have a subcommittee that works on it, but until we know how much we're talking, I'm not sure how much work we can.
Well, I think, Joan, that the subcommittee would be directed from the select board, not from the Council on Aging.
Okay.
But to be a part of that and to want to be, and strategically, I think would be obviously important for you to participate in that.
Be glad to.
Okay, and that's, anybody else think of any maybe strategic objectives that you would like to see from the senior center this year? It's kind of hard to put your feet in Joan's shoes, but.
I'll be honest, most of the time I'm doing whatever was on my old list. I mean, I do have to answer the phones. I do have to schedule transportation. Fitting in goals and objectives is very hard for a director who's also wearing many hats. And I am on salary now. I don't know if I want to work more hours to do that. I mean, if I'm expected to work more hours to spend more time on thinking ahead, forward thinking about what we can do. Maybe I did ask Ed what was expected of my salary. Am I supposed to be working more than the time the center is open? He did not give me an answer, so.
Okay. I'm just saying that we have Darlene back in the office and Flo back in the office and hopefully volunteers at the front desk. So hopefully some of your time scheduling that you had to do last year when nobody was in the office with you and answering phones can be shifted to more director-like work.
So the girls are only in the office 15 hours. I'm in the office 26 and a half. So there are hours where I am by myself. You're right. Volunteers, it would be great to have volunteers to answer the phone, but often, I don't want to be a no-sayer because I'm a can-do person. I'll be glad to do whatever I need to do. I'm just being realistic.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Highland Valley will pick up again next month, so I will be attending those meetings as well.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Anybody else have any thoughts or comments from a strategic perspective?
Just a question in regards to the volunteers. You say that they work 15 hours per week.
They're not volunteers, Sylvia. It's a staff.
The staff. Okay. Each one?
No, one works 5 hours. So our volunteer coordinator works Monday and Thursday mornings. And our administrative assistants work Tuesday and Wednesday, 5 hours apiece.
Oh, okay. So it's between the two of them. Okay. Thank you.
And there's someone on the select board coming hopefully Monday to do a review of the senior center and the workings of the senior center. So, if people want to know how the day runs and if you can give suggestions on how to streamline some things, I am open to anything. I've been doing this kind of work for almost 30 years, but at a different scale and being able to delegate. And it's different, and I'm getting a lot of assistance for outside activities. I mean, Janet and Francine and the whole pickleball group, that is like running on its own. It's so fascinating and so exciting because they've got grants. They're going to have new pickleball courts. I mean, it's just very exciting. Again, that is something that volunteers did. And so I guess we're going to have to think about how to run things with more volunteers.
So that would be a good addition to your list, maybe. Right, an objective for this year is to make better use of our volunteers. And
so number 2 is, it does bring in the volunteers, but I can expand on it. I know I'm still got that itemized going, but.
okay, and we need to, again, as soon as we get more information about the assets that are being donated to the center, we'll be able to, meet with the select board and try to figure out how that's the best way to implement that. So, all right. Yes, Jonathan.
So what was just mentioned on volunteers, I think that would be a great topic for a future meeting. If everyone can give some thought, and Joan can come up with some ideas on getting more volunteers involved and how it might be structured.
I can invite my volunteer coordinator to the meeting.
Yep. Is she going to be working on somebody to fill in the reception desk? Is she going to help you with that then?
Yes.
And what's the idea for that? Just out of
We're
curiosity.
going to make that a friends desk, and so friends and volunteers, so that they will be making a schedule during most of the high trafficking times where they can stop. People can stop there, like information or referral, ask questions, sign up for trips, and answer phones. So we are looking at that for September.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Treasurer's report. Do you want to, anybody else have any other comments on the director's report before we move on? Rini, you're muted there.
I just want to ask, Joan, did you get a new laptop through the CARES Act?
I did.
And it's already loaded with all the software you needed and you're up and running?
It's on a docking station, yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
I didn't take it here tonight. I did come home, and I haven't used it at home yet. I've only used it, it's connected in the office, so.
Yeah, okay, I was just wondering, because last night at another meeting, the director had not been issued a new laptop, and I just want to make sure that you have yours. It might not be a bad idea. I just got another weather alert for heavy rains tonight. Might be more in the Boston area, but it might be a good idea to just make sure that you do have access from home in case you need to.
So it's probably not a bad idea to take the laptop home with you? Is that what you're saying,
So
Rini?
you can have connectivity?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking more of winter time, or if they close the town hall again, but I suppose you're right. It crossed my mind once today to bring it for this meeting, but I did not.
Okay. All right. We're going to do the Treasury report, and then I realized I left off a report from the Friends meeting. So after we do Treasurer's report, we'll have Jonathan give us a report, okay? So Nancy, do you want to share, or do you want me to share? I'm doing such a good job sharing right now. You're going to share? I'll share? Okay.
Thank you. Had to unmute.
Yep. Oops, okay.
So this is fiscal year 21
Yes.
end report. As best we could get it, it was just a crazy year. And I know everybody's saying it, but it's true. COVID really threw a lot of things into flux, but it hasn't been a whole lot of help. That the town doesn't have an accountant, so we're still kind of working on making sure all the accounts are correct. And, this is the best we could do with what we have. We didn't get an end of the year report from the town yet to, cross-check. But yeah, this is where we're at.
So does this include the June 30th report from the town?
We didn't get one.
You didn't get one. Did Joan, did you have one? I thought Joan said she had one she was going to send.
We have the June 30th, but there's a week or two into July that we had time to put in this, so there should have been either a mid-July, for FY21, we should have gotten some final numbers, but we do not have them. But at 1229 for the expense, that was part of it, so I'm not sure if there'd be anything different.
Okay. All right. So it looks like, again, I don't know what the $21 is for your salary, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm sure that's taken care of in accounting. The town wages, we came in fine. State formula grant, the $24.59 that we didn't spend, it's your understanding that it's going to carry over into FY22?
Correct.
So, an additional $24.50 on top of whatever the state allocates to us. That's correct?
Yes.
Okay. Frida, so out of the 28,000, we spent 16, so we have just 11,000, almost 12,000 that we just didn't have a need for this year. So that's understandable given our situation over the last 12 months. CARES Act, we're doing fine on the CARES Act monies. I guess, I know we'll have to get with Chris and see what we haven't spent and make sure that whatever it is that we have allocated, if there's a way to spend it between now and the end of the year, we do that. The town expense account is taken care of. Anybody else have any questions for Nancy on? I just
wondering on the Frida.
Mhm.
So we're not going to be sort of docked that's not going to interfere with our contract this year?
No, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but no, it's not.
Okay.
In years past it has, but this has been an exceptional year.
Right.
Everybody
Okay.
in the same boat.
Janet, you mentioned about spending money by the end of the year. I thought we were in the new fiscal year.
We are.
I don't think I don't know. I'm talking about the CARES Act, which goes, I'm sorry, Jim, the CARES Act goes through the end of December.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's the one I was referring to.
Thank you.
Nancy, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there. Do you want to?
Oh, take my thunder. It's all yours.
You do all the work and I just report it. How nice is that, right?
And then the on the HV care grant, what is that's the Highland Valley? Okay.
Yeah, that was taken care of. Yep.
And I'm just wondering about the bottom line says percent expended, and we're in the minus 97.9%.
Yeah,
It should be positive. No?
This
For what?
97.9.
Oh, that's not accurate.
Yeah, I would not pay attention to like the three last lines because
Yeah.
of model information.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I'll have to check that.
Yeah,
I was looking at the 98% that we
up here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably the person before you, Nancy, stuck that in or something.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on end of year? I mean, it's as close as we have without having the final end of year report from the town. I think it's pretty accurate though, right?
Fairly, yes.
The local revenue is a lot more in than 320.
You're breaking up.
$3
Joan,
So that balance is. So line number H, where the arrow is,
Mhm.
has a bigger balance than $320, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So if you can get that. to
I
me.
just caught that now. I apologize, Nancy. I wasn't,
No worries.
And what goes into that, Joan?
So the revenue account is, local revenue is, usually it's for instructors, and any other monies that come in, donations, although we do have a gift donation account as well. But that's money coming in and money going out. So before last year, we used to like have a yoga class or a Tai Chi class. People would pay for the class. The money would go in that account, and then we would pay the instructor. So,
Or are we not charging at this time for,
so as of June 30th, we ended the chair yoga. So we are no longer paying the chair yoga from that account. We are now collecting for Myrna, who is our line dance teacher. So we are collecting for line dancing and paying her. We will be paying her from the revolving account, money in, money out. And the Tai Chi is still on the grant, our formula grant.
okay. And that
Okay.
it wasn't originally.
It was not originally.
Joan, let me ask you, you say that the chair yoga is not being paid for anymore.
Correct.
this point.
She moved to Ohio, and we were doing it on Zoom, and I found that many other communities were using it, but not our Southampton community. So if
Well,
people,
I used it, I've been on it a few times, but I've just logged in and,
right, it was free. Now, if you want to join her chair yoga, you have to pay her directly.
oh,
And if you want to come to our chair yoga, it will start on September 13th in the building on Mondays at 10. And it's $5 a class.
Do you have an instructor already?
Yes, her name is Angelica Lopez. I don't know her, but she was recommended by Easthampton.
Okay, good.
now you said it starts September 13th, but then you said something about September 1st or September 1 or something.
Well, I haven't advertised it or anything yet, but September 13th is when she'll start.
Okay.
It'll be in the next newsletter.
Okay.
Okay, good, good. Any other questions before we close this one? We'll move on to this year's, and then we'll take a vote on it, okay? And I'm not going to speak, Nancy. It's all yours, Nance. Any questions?
So I think we've
I
decided
have some questions. Yeah.
that EOEA grant with the question marks, I believe that's an incorrect. So I think that that column can be taken out. We've been trying to get Regina, the interim accountant, to verify everything, but she had accountants, I forgot what they call them. We're in her office all day, or we're upstairs all day.
Auditors.
Auditors?
Yes, them.
Yeah.
They were there all day. So I wasn't able to meet with her.
So just for everybody's knowledge, in case you somehow missed this, the select board during the budget season opted to try to bring some positions more in line with other like positions. And so now Joan, as she mentions, on salary, and her annual salary is $34,548, right?
Thank you, and thank you.
So that she's based on salary. So, I mean, previously we would pay Joan out of some of the state formula grant if she did after hour programs and things like that. But because it's a salaried position, like many of us that were in management in our past lives, we make what we make no matter how many hours we work. So that's the blessing of being a salaried employee, right, Joan?
Mm-hmm. But the hourly increase, I know it's not an hourly increase, but to me, it's an hourly increase. So I do appreciate everything you did to make that happen.
Yeah, last year it was around 27 and change, 28 and change. So it was, even though Joan is still she's within a good striking range of the average salary for the directors in town. Not Joan, but the position that Joan holds. So
So how many hours do those directors with the similar salaries work?
well, those are based on an hour of probably 31. Their salaries are based on 31. So they did a comparison based on hourly rate, Nancy, not salary rates, not annual
I'm
rate.
just trying to drill down the expectation for Joan's hours per week. It's a little vague.
It's still her PCF still says 26 hours a week.
Oh, okay.
Right, Joan?
As far as I know, I have not seen anything different.
So it's still based on 26 hours a week,
Okay. Good.
even when she does a bus trip to Maine, right, Joan?
I know.
Okay. And then Darlene is now at 1591 and Flo is at 1350, right? Or yeah, 1350. So that
Well,
everybody.
I think hers is 13.
If you hover over, it's right there. 15.
1377.
77 with the
Okay,
2%. She got the 1350 before with retro to January of this year. And then as of July 1st, she got a 2%.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then Darlene is the 1591 and what was she prior to that? 1530?
30.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, okay. So again, everybody kind of got more comparable to people in comparable other positions, in comparable positions. So that was the first time since I've been in town that I've seen or take that kind of initiative, and I appreciate that. All right. Nancy, anything else you want to point out on here?
Nope.
So we're waiting on the wages and expenses for the state formula grant, or the dollar amount here. We will be at 28,000 for the FRITA grant again this year.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the treasure end of year and first 2 months or first month? Do we have a motion to approve the treasurer's reports?
So moved.
Jim, a second?
Second.
Okay, so all in favor, Jim?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Sylvia?
Yeah.
Josie, please give me a verbal.
Yes.
Rick.
Okay, Jonathan,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
and Janet. Yes. Okay,
And
great.
great job, Janet. I mean, Nancy.
Nancy.
Sorry.
Really was Janet.
No, you did all the work. I just tried to take that credit. Jonathan, you want to give us a quick update on the Friends meeting you attended on our behalf?
Yeah, not much to report on. It was mainly communication between Joan and the Friends. I think Joan pretty much bringing us up to date as to, with the reopening of the senior center and what that means and some activities that are scheduled. As far as what the Friends are doing, I can't really say that maybe I just zoned out at the time that it was said, but I'm not aware of any major initiative currently underway. The Treasury is doing well. They added, as I think it's probably been reported before, in May as a result of the auction and raffle, about $3,100, almost $3,200. And the Treasury now is over 12,700. So there's a good amount of money there. And there's some, I think most people are interested in doing although not everyone, interested in doing the auction again next year and looking in different ways of doing it, maybe having it at Conant Park. But I think that's all, unless there's something Joan picked up that I did not, as far as what the organization is doing.
Very concise. Thank you, Jonathan.
Great.
And I do want to just say, although this is not relevant right now, but to what Joan was saying before on the chair yoga, Angelica Lopez, who's going to be teaching it, I've taken regular yoga classes with her, and she's a very talented teacher.
Oh, thank you.
And she'll bring she should bring some energy to that.
Well, maybe we can get her to expand to regular yoga too.
I think
She'd be interested. Yeah, she might be interested in that, but you'll see how she operates and whether that's a good fit.
Great. Good.
It'll be a stretch.
Ba-dum-bum.
There's one in every meeting.
And that's Jim.
There's a bun every meeting. Great. Thank you, Jonathan. And I just wanted to say, I know we started pickleball from the COA, as did Jim Hallett with his sixth graders at the school. And that I appreciate the Friends allowing donations to be made to them in order to raise funds to meet the minimum requirements to build the new pickleball courts. That was much appreciated. So
Yeah, and Francine did report at that on length. I didn't want to say anything about just all the dollars and where they came from, since I thought you might want to do that, Janet.
yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
probably going to go into detail, but yes, we.
And can I just suggest in the future, I mean, I am the liaison to the Friends, but I won't always be able to make the meetings. I will be unavailable for the September meeting. Lori plans on being there and she'll make the report. I guess it would, since it's not until after we have our monthly meeting in September, she'll make that report, I guess, in October. But especially with Lori going away for the winter at some point, we may want to think about an alternate, or we can do it on a case-by-case basis. So however the board wants to do that, to spell me on those occasions.
Good. Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, we'll consider that as we move forward. Okay. Good to know. All right. So communications, I just wanted to share one communication that I received that was addressed to the Board of Directors for the Southampton Senior Center. To the board members, my name is Linda Stacy, and I've been a member of the Southampton Senior Center for several years and would like to recognize Joan, the director. Joan's last name is the director. For outstanding service for the senior community. She is friendly, capable, and dedicated to the members and staff of the center, and we are grateful and lucky to have her. I hope we never lose her. She is quite an asset to the seniors she interacts with daily. So I am sincerely. So thank you.
Well deserved. Thank you.
I got an envelope from somebody addressed to the Board of Directors, and I said, I'll come in and I'll get it from you. So
And you have great taste in olive oil too, which is
all right. Old and new business. We're going to try to get through here. So next week is Celebrate Southampton on Saturday and Friday evening. There's music at the park as well as a grab and go dinner from the church. We are going to share a table. I think mostly it's going to be the Friends that will be at the table. But I think, Joan, if you have any little doodads, we can hang out. Anything about Highland Valley, anything. And even if we have a handout about memory cafes that's just kind of generic, I mean, you never know who might come through and say, wow, this is interesting, and follow up with us. I mean, we may as well start, even if it's not marketing our program, marketing the concept.
That's a great idea. I didn't think of that. And I'm already gathering things to put on the table. So
okay. Yeah. If we can get, pamphlets from, I guess, Highland Valley or whomever that we can put on their table to, to hand out during Celebrate Southampton, that would be great.
And I know at the meeting, they were trying to get 2 people per hour. I think it's 10 to 2. They need coverage. So if anybody on the board thinks they might be attending the Celebrate Southampton and would like to sit at the table, Francine, I think, was getting schedules together of people who are available maybe for an hour to answer questions or at least be the face of the COA. So we'd be willing to have, that's on the 14th.
Yes, and we are also going to do a pickleball demonstration at 3:00. So let me see what else is there for that. Anything else on the Celebrate Southampton? And they will be announcing the Southampton Person of the Year, okay, and recognizing that person, I think sometime around 12:30. So 12:30. So just so everybody knows. I guess I just want to touch base. We haven't heard from the state formula grant yet, but we have received information from the FRITA grant, and I did share that before accidentally. Now I'll never be able to find it again. I probably closed it or something. But the FRITA grant, I don't need to really go through it, but I don't know if anybody, so some of the things that they say that we need, other than they have recommended that they have approved $28,000 again this year, which is great because we weren't sure. Some of the things that they say were due in June, one was the Quarry check for all the annual Quarry checks, Joan?
Yeah, I'm aware of all that. It is not completed, but that will be part of my goal, is to complete all things that are required for the grant. And
Okay,
I've done it in the last several years, and I will make sure I put that on a high priority.
yeah, I mean, I just briefly went through it and I wish I could. So who is the actual administrator of the grant?
So it would be, I believe it would be the accountant, and so at this time it may be Ed. So I'm on the list, the select board's on the list for the signature page, but I'm pretty sure it used to be Vicky. So I'm pretty sure it'll be Ed at this point.
Okay, so, and maybe if we could send to the board, is there any reason not to send to the board a copy of the contract just for
No,
people to kind of peruse? I'm happy to forward it to them and I'll forward it, unless there's some reason I shouldn't. Joan, any reason that you know?
I don't see why.
Okay, so I mean, it's an
No,
interesting
Loretta.
document. And besides the Quarry check, there has to be a motor vehicle check and a Department of Transportation physicals that are also like due at the end of each year. So it's just a lot. I know, Joan, you have a very full plate, so I just say that to help remind, and if there's anything I can do or to help. And they all have to, the drivers have to sign a HIPAA form as
Yep.
well? Okay.
And so does Darlene and Flo, because Darlene and Flo are working with schedule.
Okay, yeah, anybody that touches, so the 5 of you, I guess, right, have to do that?
Correct.
Okay, so it talks about the fare structure. I mean, if people want to have a better understanding of what is this grant we have and what does it cover, I'm happy to send this information out, especially, for people to review. And then it has to be signed off, Joan, by...
Right. I signed it today. I gave it to Ed. He's going to, the select board meets next Tuesday.
Okay.
Now, I was under the impression that historically, at least a couple of years ago, we had a $30,000 grant.
We
so it's gone down.
It went down last year, yes.
And was it because of COVID that it went down?
No, it went down before that because of budget crunches, and they took some off the top of, I think, almost everybody in the area. I'm not sure that was the year we didn't use the 30,000. So that could have been, they felt that, we could survive with 28, although our program at the time, our program was expanding.
Well, I think though, Joan, I remember when you asked them at the time, it seems like that they did kind of a across the board reduction just because of funding, transportation funding. So
True.
I think that was more than not. So I think I was happy to see that they kept it at 28. I wasn't sure moving forward what kind of funding they would have and what kind of funding they would allow based on the fact that, last year our expenditures were like maybe 65%. So, but that's understandable during COVID. And so we just want to make sure we are able to expand the programs safely.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I got that information probably for the treasurer's report, and I just opened it up to look at it. Was that vehicle maintenance policy in effect in the past? So that's it's a lot.
That's for any bus place. They have to do a check every day before they get on. They have to walk around the vehicle and make sure that everything's in working order. Or if they see any damage or anything, they have to mark it. And so I send that paperwork once a month to FRTA.
Okay, that's what it said you should be doing. Wow.
And we've been doing that right since I started there. They were doing it before I came. So I just continued it.
Wow, it's a really, thorough.
Well, anybody that's doing public transportation and you're carrying people, you need to make sure that your vehicle's safe. And we have a newer vehicle, so we're fortunate. I mean, and it's not as used as much as some places.
Okay, anything, so nothing from the state to date as far as any communication on the state formula grant? Nothing yet? Okay. No, like it's coming, hold your breath. Okay. And I know you were going to talk to Jerry about unvaccinated folks. Did you get a chance to speak?
I have not talked to Caitlin or Jerry as of today, and I apologize for that. On my way home, I reached for my cell phone to say to you, can you reach out to Caitlin? But I did not have a cell phone, so I'm sorry for that. I will pursue that tomorrow. So the question at hand is, for anyone who is not vaccinated, should they be wearing masks in the building? And also transportation, if they're not vaccinated, should they be using our transportation or the trips, the group trips that we have? So that question came up today, that if they're not vaccinated, that they should not be using, I don't know about FRTA, but our group transportation, there is question if they should be on a group trip if they're not vaccinated.
And just for clarification, everyone wears a mask on the Frida van and, and on the whole trip to Maine and back.
Yes.
And they're in the bus, but whether or not, I don't believe, and again, Joan and I talked about this the other day, and Nancy as well, that there is any town policy at this point for unvaccinated people to be wearing a mask in town hall. So I know the Board of Health meets next Tuesday. I don't know if they'll revisit that with the Delta variant or not. But I think the only sign I've ever seen at town hall is please wear a mask. Masks are not required, but
encouraged.
It's welcome.
It's
welcome. Yes.
Right.
So, Rini, you don't know anything more, right, about unvaccinated people in town hall are not required to wear masks at this point in time?
I don't think there's a policy to that effect, correct?
Okay.
There should be.
I agree.
That would come from the Board of Health?
That would
Yes.
come from the Board of Health, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, good. I mean, I just, as a person that just went on vacation in a place that had just started to spike, it's in the front of my mind that, things can happen even with vaccinated people. And
Is that, Rini, is that on the Board of Health's radar to look into that policy?
I would hope so. I'm not the liaison to the Board of Health anymore with the most recent election, but it absolutely should be come from them, absolutely.
and I don't think the governor hasn't really, I'm just trying to remember if he's made any comments.
I don't think there's any mandate for unvaccinated people to not be allowed to go into any particular building, municipal or otherwise.
Okay. All right.
I will say that there are more people wearing masks. We have several that have procedures and things coming up, so they want to be safe. And out of respect for other people, if somebody comes in and wears a mask and we're sitting for a long time, I put a mask on. So it's coming and going. Some wear them, some don't.
Jonathan?
Yeah, and I'll just say that at the Friends meeting yesterday, there was concern expressed that there should be more communication between the Board of Health and the COA on this matter, on the policy for vaccinations and masks, in particular masks, and then who should wear them, if at all.
Okay. And I think, Joan, your point about on the buses, if somebody's not vaccinated, should they be, I don't know, there must be some kind of state policy about that, I would think, but maybe we can get an answer from the Board of Health. Okay. I'll check with Kate. All right. Anything else that we haven't covered yet? Does everybody want a copy of the Fritter grant?
I would like one, I think.
Sure.
Okay, good.
Yes, please.
Okay. Anything else before we move to schedule our meeting, which we pretty much did on September 1st? All right, and yes, Jonathan.
Were we going to dispense with the discussion on agenda and format for future meetings?
Yeah, I mean,
Director's report and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think let's table that to the next meeting because it's already 5:30 and I don't want to prolong this. And part of it was around, what we would like to see from Joan to help us best understand. If anybody wants to share a couple comments as far as the director's report and, anything they'd like to certainly eliminate from the meeting, I'm happy to have a brief discussion on that now. Yes, go ahead, Jonathan.
I'll just say that, Joan, I found your report very helpful by emphasizing and consolidating items rather than just a listing by date. It helped me at just a glance to get an idea of what you've been involved in and what seemed to be important for the last month, and helped me to frame, to think about any questions that I might have arising out of that. As for the second part of the report about goals, this time was for on goals and challenges, and we already had that discussion as to ways that could be modified in the future if that was to be done again. But I do think it helps to have something, a topic each time, such as this time was goals and challenges, that between you and Janet, maybe with the board's input, that you could have in your report. As I said, this time was goals and challenges. It might be something else next time. And that would provide a focus for one of our discussions at the meeting.
Like the volunteers or
Yeah, something like that, I think would be helpful. And the board could, have input, share it with Janet, and between you and Janet, talk about that as to what might be helpful. So those are just my thoughts as to it. And it was also good. I don't know if it has to be done each time, but I think it was good to get an itemization of Flo and Darlene's, their current responsibilities and what they've been spending time on.
Okay.
So,
and maybe next month we look to get an update on the progress for the Memory Cafe as a major topic, for example, because that's kind of a key thing that is going to take a lot of joint effort from all of us, anybody that's knowledgeable and capable. And so maybe we'll ask Sylvia and Nancy and Joan to kind of give us an update next month on the status there.
when we have all three of us here, I don't know if the week of the 16th is a good time to meet, either Monday or Wednesday. The 17th is a trip, but the 16th or 18th, 16th or 18th of the month, we could meet, and we could meet on Zoom if you want. I could prepare something. We could meet on Zoom.
Okay. I am available, but Nancy, what will be the best time for the two of you?
I know she's working, so.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys just make that decision?
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you. I'll check tomorrow and I'll just email you both. Okay.
Thank you.
Great, good. So I think, Jonathan, your idea, I think the Memory Cafe, we pick a topic at this meeting to be discussed at the next meeting might be even, more beneficial than. Yeah. So at least for this coming month, I think the Memory Cafe is probably a big subject. So.
Sounds good.
Okay. And anybody else have anything they want to add to that? Sylvia, did you? Yeah, I thought I saw your hand up. Okay.
Yeah, but Jonathan said it.
Covered it. Okay, great. Okay. So yeah, I think, Joan, just more a consolidated list of key things. And I think the numbers are always impressive, and how many, what you do collectively from a data perspective, but also some of the key accomplishments for the month that are important versus a laundry list of things. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else comment? And again, in fairness to Joan, I kind of threw that goals out like probably last Thursday or something, and maybe we can kind of get an update, Joan, in a month on what you feel, if there's any modifications to that or whatever. Okay?
Great.
That helps with that. It's again, the goal is to help you, not to add to you. So, but we're good at adding to you. So, okay, do we have a motion at 5:33 to adjourn?
So moved.
Josie,
Second,
Nancy, Jim?
Yes.
Yes. Sylvia?
Yes.
Josie?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Nancy?
are we going to have a Zoom meeting next time or are we going to meet?
Okay, we're not ready to close quite yet.
Already?
That's a good question. How does the board feel if we could either meet outside or space safely inside or?
There's only 7 of us. I feel comfortable if people feel comfortable meeting and even masking if that feels more comfortable in or out.
Is the building going to be open by September 1st?
It's open already, Jim.
Oh, it is.
Yep. People are having the select board's meeting in
Yeah.
live, and it is open to the public. Yes.
Yeah. No, I am wearing my mask more frequently.
Yep.
And I'm amenable to anywhere, but I will wear my mask if it's inside.
Is there a conflict, Joan, at this time at 4:00? I mean, I know that means you get to stay later. That's probably your biggest objection. But
It's less stressful to stay there than it is to try and rush home.
okay, good. So you want to try at the senior center at 4:00?
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up, Nancy. Great.
Oh, can we record it there? Where do we need to meet? Do we need to meet in the select board room or?
No, it's not required to record it.
Oh,
And I did start the recording a little bit late today, so my apologies.
Is it amenable with everyone?
I'm okay with it.
I like the senior center meeting, but are we obligated to televise our meetings?
Not. We're not obligated.
Good.
or record it, but I always have to pass the recording on to Easthampton Media.
Well, that's when it's on a Zoom and the guidelines are slightly different. I mean, we used to have it on the second floor meeting room, so we could do it in the second floor meeting room. I'm assuming the camera's still working up there if you'd like to record it.
I'm not sure we could space as well in
I
that
don't
room.
think so. That's my
Yeah.
concern. So it's not a requirement to record, and it is an open meeting that people can attend. It's always nice to record, but at this point, when we want to expand, I mean, right now, for example, I think the Board of Health is meeting at Conant Park next week, so that's not a recordable meeting. So, and I don't mean to pick on them, it's just an example.
No,
So,
I mean, the library's meeting tomorrow at the library, so
mhm.
library trustees. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'd rather not,
So do we have a motion to meet live?
yes.
Yeah, we could even meet at Conant Park, at the picnic tables if it's,
We could meet outside under the awning.
We
even.
have an awning and tables and chairs too. So whatever you want to do.
So do we have a motion and a second to the motion to meet live next month?
Second or motion,
Okay, thank you.
whatever.
At my
Yeah,
age,
do it.
the idea of live sounds great.
Okay. Meet in person, I'm sorry, meet in person. Let's take a vote. Jim?
Yes.
Sylvia?
Sure.
Josie?
Yes. I'll try
Jonathan.
not to forget.
I'll call you. Jonathan?
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Nancy?
yes.
And Janet, yes. Okay, so that's good.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know what? Jonathan was right that we are meeting after the Friends meeting, which doesn't matter. I mean, is there any reason that it has to be the 1st? Can it be the 8th?
Only that we publish it, that we meet the first Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
So I think, I don't think we need to move our meeting because of the Friends.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
right? Since we always say we meet the first Wednesday of the month, I'd rather stick to that if we could.
Sure.
Okay. All right, now we're adjourning at 5:37.
Have we decided we're at the senior center on the first?
I will get you a message out, whether it's the senior center, inside or outside, but I think we'll focus on the senior center.
All right, it'll be at the senior center somewhere.
Yes.
That's great.
Okay.
Weather permitting, et cetera.
Yeah. Good.
We're inside if it's raining but we will have the space to spread out. So that's good. Okay, great.
Good.
Meeting adjourned. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Move.
Okay,
Second.
Jim, Sylvia, second. Let's
Okay.
quick roll call. Jim,
Yes.
Sylvia,
Yes.
Josie,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Janet, yes. That's how you are on my screen. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Now.